one of the dreams I wanted to share first is, so this is, I saw a tree, a small tree, a young tree, I guess, and I saw a shovel digging around this tree, and I saw a foot. So all I saw was a shovel and a foot, and then I heard, to remove Christ is like the digging away at a foundation or around the roots of the young tree with a shovel. It will ultimately kill the tree. And that was the end of the dream. And I feel that's that message is everything that's happening in America. I had another dream. This one, that dream with the message about removing Christ that will ultimately kill the tree was given a little more than a year ago. I had one a little more recently, and I saw the flag of ISIS, and I saw a flagpole, and then at the top was the American flag, and below that was the ISIS flag. It was a black flag, and in that flag, in the dream, it was like a camera, I guess, where the focus became on the flag, the black flag, and then took up all of my vision, and so all I could see was that black flag. And I believe the interpretation is that the values that are within that dogma will be the view of Americans, and will be all that you can see, and will be all that's only that is accepted in America. I had another dream as well. I was in a school, and this is a little bit scary for people who have young children. The schools had been closed or something, and it was like I was a witness. I was just like a fly on the wall, I guess. I was watching these people, and they were collecting files in the school office. They were collecting these files about families, and these files were going to be used to punish the families. And the purpose was because a law had been passed that all women had to marry. And the only way that they could enforce this law was to gather information about families, mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters. And so having that information, then they could then establish who was a family and then punish people. So, and that was the only way that they could enforce their new laws. So all women had, it was required by law that all women were to marry. And again, they did this by collecting the information about family relationships from the schools that had been shut down, and these files were left in the schools. So they went to these schools and collected these leftover files from the schools. I saw this in the dream. And I don't know what the punishment was. That's all I saw in that dream. What else? I know that ISIS is already here, and that we already have a black flag flying, and I believe that that is simply an introduction. And they give us other reasons for that purpose, but okay, I'm a veteran, but I don't believe them. Whatever. And then, tell you this dream. This was a really hard, really hard dream for me. This was probably the saddest dream that I have had. Was a nuclear bomb. And I had seen a few days before, so I recognized the emblems on the bomb. a cartoon, and the dream was actually like a cartoon, and it was so sad because I heard the people crying. It was children. So I think that God sees all of us as children, right? So we're all God's children. And so in this dream, I believe that he presented the people to me the way that he sees people, and the way that they will all know when this is going to happen. I was told where this will happen. It will happen in California. But I don't believe that California will have the boundaries that it has now. And right now it is January 2019. And the boundaries will be different, I believe, when this occurs. And it will be a nuclear bomb from North Korea. And I know this because of what I saw in the dream. And it was like a cartoon. And the nuclear bomb was like a bus. Okay, I know it sounds crazy. And there were all these people on this bus. They were children, boys and girls, and they were all crying. And they were it was like an airplane, but it was a nuclear bomb bus. And it was going straight down into the earth. And they all knew that they were going to their death. And they were all crying and screaming and very sad. And I watched a commercial recently about a young man, a teenager that was left home, and his family went to Vegas, and he was left in Los Angeles. And there was a nuclear bomb threat, and he was trying to figure out a safe place to go and hide. And it actually was a lot like that. All of these people knew, and there will be some kind of alert system that they will all know that it's coming, and there will be no place for them to go. I had another dream. I had two separate dreams about... I've had a lot of dreams that indicate nuclear war. Another dream I had, I was on vacation, and I don't know where, except that I know it was a warm climate in America. And I was in a neighborhood, a residential neighborhood, and the homes were very large, and I remember seeing cars lined up in driveways, because they were large homes, many people living there, maybe large families. But the nuclear bomb had not hit there, but all the power was out, and I understood that I had so much time to get to shelter before the danger. So kind of like there's the movie out, I can't remember the name of it, but there's some movies out that talk about those types of things where the bomb goes off and it affects everyone's power, but you're still not within the blast vicinity or the radiation yet. So I knew I had time, but the streets were empty, and nothing worked. There was absolutely nothing worked. And so I knew I had luggage in the back of the vehicle, so I wanted to get sandals because I knew I had to go to a basement, and I didn't want to walk on the floor. And so I grabbed sandals, and I knew that I had to walk a little bit. So that was the end of that dream. I had another dream, and I was told to go, and I don't know why I was told this. I'm assuming it is because of a nuclear bomb, but I don't know. I was told that there was safety at the Indian reservation north of San Francisco. I don't live in California, and I don't know why, and there are no Indian reservations that I'm aware of north of San Francisco. But I believe with this new proposed separation of giving Indians their own land in California, I believe that that's what that will be. And at the time I had the dream, there was no such proposal, but there will be something in the future, and that there will be safety on this property, on this Indian reservation, north of San Francisco. I had another dream where I understood that planes were falling from the sky because of some kind of a bomb that, I can't remember what they call it, caused electrical failure. Anyway, planes were falling from the sky, and it's only in America. Because I was in Europe, and I was with a friend, and she said, "Oh, look at the airplanes." And I asked God, "Will that happen here?" And I was actually in Spain, and God said, "No, just in America." So I had a dream also when I was in the airport, another dream, this is a separate dream. And I will not have anything to do with this FBI, so don't come looking for me. I was asleep on my luggage. This was really recent. This was just a couple weeks ago. Just after Christmas. And I was in Budapest. I don't know what it means. I don't know how it will happen. I don't know how something like this will happen. I can just tell you what I saw. I haven't had really time to digest it. I was sitting on the lawn in front of some large buildings. And I don't know where I was. I'm assuming I was in America. I was talking to a woman speaking English, and I know that I had a phone in my hand, and we were talking about God, and she said to me she didn't believe that God could exist. And it reminded me a lot of a conversation I had with a woman when I was in Spain, and she I don't know how to say, I don't want to, she doesn't believe in God necessarily, and this woman said, "I won't believe there's nothing that can prove that he exists." And she said it with a lot of anger, and I don't know how to explain her words, because when I finished talking to this woman when I was in Spain, I was really glad that they didn't stone people anymore to death, because when you don't agree with people. As when I finished talking to her, I just thought of Stephen, the stoning of Stephen. Just because your emotions don't make things true. So I said, that was one of the things I said to her, just because you think something is true emotionally, doesn't make it true. Just because you don't wash your hands and think that you're germ free doesn't mean that your hands are germ free. So just because you think you're holy doesn't make you holy. So just because you think something doesn't make it true, and just because you believe something doesn't make it true, but that there is an absolute truth about things. And I really believe that. And this woman got very, like, angry. So, and I have to say, she was dating a man that's Muslim. And I know that there are good Muslims. So, and there are good and bad people all over the world. So, I'm sorry I'm shaking. But, anyway, as soon as this woman said, there's no proof that God lives, there was a big loud bang in the sky, and it was a grid pattern that I saw in the sky, and they were airplanes that had blown up. And I can't tell you with certainty how many I saw, but there were 3 to 5 airplanes I saw, and I don't know how it could happen that all of them would blow up at the same time. That's what I saw. They were all blown up at the same time and falling from the sky. And then I looked down at my phone, and my phone had gone black and the screen had cracked. And I suddenly felt very aware that something was happening, and felt that I needed to run for cover. So I ran, and I went up. I was next to this building, and it had a lot of stairs, so I had to go up all these stairs. But I knew that I needed to get to the basement of this building. And so that's what I did, and the dream ended. And in another dream, I'll tell you that I had not too long ago, was that I was cooking some meat, and I heard a siren, and I knew that the siren, I had been expecting this siren to go off for a while. But what the siren meant was that a tornado was coming. It was a tornado watch siren. And so I put the meat that I'd been cooking, my food, and it was very good food, into a Tupperware. And I grabbed my cat, and it was like I had been preparing and I was ready to go. And I quickly went down the stairs and into the basement. And the dream ended. And I was sad that my home was going to, I had a knowing in the dream that my home was going to be destroyed by the tornadoes that were coming. And I have an interpretation of that dream is that my home is America, and the tornadoes are war. And the meat is Jesus Christ and his gospel, which is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And that's the interpretation of that dream. I am not certain of what the basement is yet. I'm looking for it. I think it's another country, because there's no safety in America. For a while, I was told that these things will last 7 years, and that I'm not to listen to the media reports. I was not told what exactly, I was shown what, and it was me reading news online, the internet. That's how I got my news. And it was also listening especially to financial reports online. I was not to listen to that. And that was been at least a year that I had that one. And I believe also that I've been told that, I have not been told that specifically. I'm never told a timeline of when these things will begin. And but I believe that it will begin soon. And I've also heard that, I believe in scriptures even, that everyone will return to their own countries, and that immigrants should not come here now. I have had a recurring dream as well of my own homeland, where I came from. I'm from Rexburg, Idaho. It being a bad place for the tribulation. I don't even want to talk about it, because I don't want people to be scared, but it's going to be a terrible place to be, and I'm very sorry for the saints that will be there, because it will be one of the places that Satan will make war with the saints and do terrible things. But if I was to give hope, there's scriptures that I will post at the end of my, along with this video, and except to say that in all of these things that the saints are sanctified, and meaning that we are made holy, and our sacrifice makes us worthy of the kingdom of God. And and while Satan and his followers think that they're getting away with things, they only make martyrs out of Christians and out of everything that is good and holy and right, and sanctify it and bless it, and they will suffer the wrath for eternity, which I talked about in another video, and I'm just not a good place for anyone. It is an insufferable fear that there is no escape. You have no idea. You enjoy right now God's presence. You enjoy right now His love. Even in the misery of this life, I often suffer with wanting to die, not wanting to continue. But somehow every day I talk to God about it, repent in a way, I guess, and ask Him for help with these feelings. I had a difficult growing up, and marriage, and many things. God knows these things. He knows these things are a reality for us, but there is nothing compared to the fear that will be hell and the horrible, horrible feelings there. God is not there. And change your life. And if you grew up in a home where the people were abusive, then it is a brainwashing of belief that is contrary to God, and you have to be taught again how to be, and it's hard, because because God's ways don't make sense, commandments don't make sense. But I have to testify that obeying the commandments brings happiness, and if you will trust in the Lord Jesus Christ and God the Father, they will help you to be happy and will heal you physically and emotionally, spiritually. When I left the army, I could barely walk, and I don't know exactly what's wrong, but I have suffered some kind of I deployed and was exposed to chemicals as well as immunizations, and then also suffered some traumatic things. My nervous system doesn't work like it ought to, so but I know that I have been healed since leaving by Jesus Christ, and taking the sacrament every Sunday cleanses me, and I know that it is because of Jesus Christ and through His atonement that this occurs. And I am grateful for these dreams, but sometimes I feel greatly burdened by the knowledge that I have, and I'm very sad for people, especially people that believe that God hates them, or that He's mean, and whether the commandments are bad, because I also understand what is waiting for them. So I'll leave this with you because it's already kind of long, and I wish you well, and I will make some more.